All right. At this point, it feels like everyone on Earth has weighed in on Caitlyn Clark appearing as the Time Athlete of the Year on the cover, the interview, so on and so forth. However, when the perspective comes from within the Fever organization, it is still worth sharing. And it was obviously a question worth asking if you have the Fever's GM on your show, which is what just happened. And Amber Cox, of course, the Fever GM, she is working under Kelly Croscup, and they are the new management team of the Fever. They've been very accessible during this offseason so far, speaking to the media, talking about their game plan for the team, emphasizing that Kelsey Mitchell will be the number one priority, discussing how they have a long-term plan for what the team is going to do. But when it came to Caitlyn Clark specifically, Cox was on with Christina Williams. The show is called In Case You Missed It with Christina Williams. I will put the full link in the description for you to check out. And here is what she said about the Time fiasco.
Caitlyn Clark was recently named Time's Athlete of the Year. And Washington Mystics co-owner Shayla Johnson, responded to that by saying, I think the WNBA in its entirety should have been featured. How do you respond to those comments? And do you think the award should have been given to the entire WNBA rather than Caitlyn Clark individually?
I think Caitlyn Clark deserved that award. Through the years, dating back to the beginning of the league, right? There have been incredible players, incredible basketball. We all know that. There have been great people working on the front office side as well, trying to build the foundation, build the fandom around it. Sports to me is generational. We've been at this not very long, less than 30 years, right? Comparatively, when you're talking about other leagues. And, like I'm a St. Louis Cardinals baseball fan because my grandpa was. We have not really, we've been through like one generation. So we're still growing in that regard. What Caitlyn Clark did, because so many eyeballs were on her, was she is a huge multiplier effect of that. Because she has so many fans, and you saw it across arenas, people are moving games because so many people wanted to see her play. And look, I don't take anything away from other players that brought more eyeballs. Angel, Cameron, right? The identity and how much brand recognition these players now have in college absolutely helped the WNBA. But we've never seen anything like Caitlyn Clark.
So, really good answer. I think there gave other people their credit while also giving the credit where it was most due. These things can be done at the same time. And, the joke I've always had is the reverence tax. I've never seen anything like with the WNBA where you have to pass an exam in order to watch a game. In order to access League Pass, you must tell us the roster of the Houston Comets from said year, when accepting any award, you must thank all of those who came before you can mention yourself or your teammates. It is just one of these hilariously unique things, but Clark is unique in that sense, and really beyond just the WNBA and sports in general. There have only been a few instances that are even comparable, I would say, in my lifetime. Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods. That's about it that I can think of that have changed the dynamics of their sport as an individual, the way Caitlyn Clark has done. Not to mention what Caitlyn Clark does on the basketball court, because I never want to leave that short. And you all know I don't ever leave that short. But I feel like sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle instead of emphasized, because people think it's about something else rather than that being the root of it and the basis of it. But Cox also talked about the expansion draft and the decision not to protect Temi Fagbenley. We'd heard similar comments from the Fever front office before, but still worth sharing her perspective because she is indeed the one
Became available.
to make these decisions.
I think the entire world was shocked during the WNBA expansion draft when Temi Fagbenley became available, especially because when you look at last season, she played a really huge part in the Fever's success in terms of getting to that point where you all were able to make the playoffs, but also her ability to run the floor with Caitlyn Clark and how their games complemented each other. Um, when we think about, that expansion draft, what was the thought process in making her available?
It's really part of an overall plan, which hopefully everyone will see unfold throughout the off season. The expansion draft is difficult. It's hard to lose a player. Six is not very many when you think about protecting protecting anybody on your roster. And this group obviously built great camaraderie the second half of the season. So that was not an easy decision, but again, part of a bigger plan that I hope everyone will get to see unfold as we get into the rest of the offseason.
So that's foreshadowing some big moves, no? I mean, a bigger plan. You'll hope everybody sees as we get further into the offseason. What does that mean exactly? I have no idea, right? She's not putting concrete details behind those comments, but clearly these are the moves of a front office that is planning to make more moves, right? Not stand pat. It wasn't we're losing her for nothing. It's we're losing her because we have these plans. We have this. Maybe it's that position targeted. Maybe it's a financial thing because she was a free agent, a restricted free agent. Don't want to tie up that money so we can use it elsewhere. Maybe it's both of those things at the same time. Obviously, the draft is coming up as well, so they'll add a player through the draft, but I can't imagine it's that. I mean, the draft doesn't seem to step on the toes of the expansion draft in a sense in who you would protect. It feels more like the Fever free agency goals that Amber Cox is outlining there. And one thing I've seen for sure, this front office means business, right? They're not messing around. They're not playing around. They've taken things seriously since they came in the door. They reorganized Lynn Dunn to another position. They came in the door. They showed Christy Sides the door. They came in the door. They didn't protect Temme Fagbenley to many people's surprise. They bring in Stephanie White as the head coach, obviously, before that, which rallies up Aaliyah Boston and Caitlyn Clark and Lexi Hull, who are there. They're clear as day about keeping Kelsey Mitchell. So, there's no mixed messages or strange signals or signs of incompetence with this new group. I mean, in fact, it's quite the opposite. I feel like, I don't know, is there a better team in sports to be rooting for right now than the Indiana Fever? The excitement level, it feels like they're properly run, and it feels like they're only going to go up from here. And then they've got that player who the GM just said, we've never seen anything like before. And that's another thing she is not wrong about.